I think part of luxury is our expertise and our level of communication. And to me, customer service is everything. I would rather pay a little bit more for a service and be treated like somebody special than just another number in and out, like just a revolving door. And they could care less if you ever come back or care less about your business.
Hi, I'm Chris Stock, co-founder, CEO at SalesMD, and welcome to our new podcast, The Aesthetic Business Success Show. The podcast built for med spa and aesthetic practice owners who want to grow, market, and scale with confidence. Each episode will bring you proven strategies, practical insights, and insider conversations with top doctors, marketers, and industry leaders. Whether you're looking to attract more patients, boost revenue, or streamline your operations, this podcast will become your go-to resource for building a thriving, profitable practice. Our guests and myself are here to help you turn insight into impact. So let's get the conversation started with today's incredible guest. Today, we're excited to be joined by Dr. Francesca Waters, master injector, author, and owner of Air Med Spa in Sarasota and Lakewood Ranch, Florida. Let me tell you a little bit about her before we welcome her. Dr. Waters is a nationally recognized expert in aesthetic medicine and the author of Medical Spa Secrets in lifting your confidence with neurotoxins, fillers, and PDO threads. She is the founder of Air Med Spa, where they deliver a luxury 6-star guest experience centered on confidence, care, and results. At Air Med Spa, the focus is on advanced anti-aging with confidence-building treatments designed to help patients look refreshed, natural, and elevated. Board certified and extensively trained in Botox, dermal fillers, PDO threads, and laser treatments, Dr. Waters is known for combining cutting-edge techniques with a highly personalized, concierge-style approach to patient care. Her expertise and innovation in aesthetics have earned her national recognition as a top 25 provider by PDO Max, reflecting her leadership and continued impact in the field. What truly sets Dr. Waters apart is her philosophy of naturally looking confidence and customized transformation. Through Air Med Spa, she has built an experience that helps clients feel refreshed, empowered, and authentic, never overdone. Her work blends medical precision with artistry, and she is passionate about helping people feel more confident in their own skin while continuing to elevate modern aesthetic medicine. Welcome, Dr. Walters. Great to have you here. So I just want to jump straight in with the first question. So, the med spa industry is more competitive than it's ever been. New providers, new technology, increasing educated customer. So from your vantage point as both a doctorate level clinician and a practice owner, what are you seeing as the biggest shifts that are happening right now that every aesthetic professional needs to pay attention to?
Yes, well, first of all, I want to say hello and thank you, Chris. That was an incredible intro. And I am honored that you would have me here and on your podcast to help educate the public. As far as your question, I look at this as a two-part question. So, yes, there is a huge explosion of wellness industry type businesses, aesthetics, injectables, peptides, medical weight loss. It's like this huge craze and everyone is about I think it's always been popular to want to take care of your body and look best and feel best in your skin, but right now more than ever. A fun fact, there are more medical spas now in the US than McDonald's. So for sure, people are wanting to to look and feel good rather than go to a fast food restaurant.
Funny you should
Um,
say that. I was on a podcast earlier today where I was the guest, and I quoted the same thing, that there are
my
more.
gosh, great minds think alike. Yes,
Yes,
I know.
indeed.
But I mean, that you could see that as a visual, and even driving here in Sarasota, Florida, it's a very, bougie town, if you will. So, I mean, there's med spas on every corner. Remind me, where are you located?
Um, we move a lot. Coming,
Everywhere. I'm sure you
uh,
see a lot of med spas where you're
Los Angeles now, but yes, there's a
okay. Oh, a lot
they're
there then for
everywhere. Yeah.
sure. Okay, but then you had asked about what, clinicians, experts, maybe consumers need to pay attention to as far as the shifts go and medical spa industry. So I actually went to the medical spa show in Las Vegas this year, and there was a lot of talk about AI technology. And AI not only is affecting like the technical world, like I don't know, the IT, like it's, I don't know, like the IT companies like Facebook, Google, wherever. It's also affecting medical spas. We're using a lot more of that technology here in the spas to help improve upon results. I love that you mentioned that we are a luxury medical spa. We deliver a 6-star service. I think part of that service includes providing the client with as much data about their skin possible. So here at Air Med Spa, we offer, and this is not an extra or hidden charge. I have not changed my prices since I've moved into this building about 5 years ago. So I really hold strong to that. I'm just here to help and offer as much education as possible. But we have invested in a Visia skin analysis machine where we're taking photos. It's the same machine that they're using for scientific journals, and we're using photos to get like a deeper analysis of your skin. We're seeing UV damage, texture, pores, wrinkles, bacteria underneath the skin, so that way we can make focused and smarter decisions when it comes to developing customized treatment plans. Because I think it's become so like it's nice to have like a measurable tool. Like who's to say what looks attractive and what doesn't? To me, I'm not that injector that sticks a ruler on your nose to see if you're proportionally even. I think everyone has their natural beauty and we're just here to enhance it. And we actually have data.
No, I love that. I love, and I love the philosophy as well in terms of um, your understanding where they are, where they where they want to go, and then building sort of a treatment plan, and sort of looking at them more than just I want 20 units of Botox, which that has its place as well. But there's a journey in how you're approaching this, which is I think it's great. So
Absolutely. Yes. And yeah, we're finding that we're not about the service. Like it's about the journey and it's about the end result and your goal. So, I mean, you can go in and ask for 20 units of Botox, but it's not necessarily going to give you that younger, refreshed looking skin and that overall glow that people are usually wanting when they're getting some kind of transformation.
absolutely. So you bring nearly 14 years of nursing experience, including medical, surgical, and wound care, into a luxury med spa setting. How do you feel that clinical training translates into business advantage?
Yeah, so and just to clarify, so I have my doctorate in family nursing practice, and sometimes people get confused because I do introduce myself with my professional title as Dr. Walters, but I am, I have my level to the highest degree, and as a doctorately trained nurse practitioner, we've done way more clinical hours, research studies on evidence-based research. I had a whole dissertation I had to do, a lot of presentations that I had to do in front of my I was going to say my teammates, but my classmates.
Well, they are
and
your teammates.
yeah, we took a little bit of business classes as well because the program that I went to, Florida State University, they had some foresight that the DNPs were going to be, the leaders in the industry and the ones that were going to open up their own practices. But as far as my whole journey from my career, I started off as a registered nurse. I actually let's even go beyond that. So I actually started my second job in the medical field. I worked as a medical assistant for a plastic surgeon. And that's where I really was introduced to the world of plastic surgery and the power that it has to give somebody their confidence back, that their glow back. I loved that everyone was healthy, happy, happy, down to earth, and just there just for like a nice glow up. And it was so special to be a part of that journey. So I graduated, I became a nurse, and I went to the hospital. I was so young and naive. I think I was like 19 or 20 years old, and went to Manatee Memorial Hospital of all hospitals. It is like, I don't know, it's drug addict central there. But like just a whole nother world that is like opposite of luxury, if you will. But it was great to have that knowledge though. Why? Because I think it strengthened me as a person. It made me more resilient. I was able to think on my feet a lot faster, critically think, problem solve. I wasn't always there. I didn't always have somebody there to hold my hand through every issue. I had six patients at a time. I was there long enough where I was charge nurse often. I had a student training with me and a new hire. So I just really learned how to delegate, wear a lot of hats, solve a lot of issues, like, put out the fires, if you will, but also in a level of priority, which I was able to, prioritize, which takes precedence. Um, that shifted over into opening up my own practice and doing that basically on the day to day here, but in a little more of a luxurious type environment. Um, and just, stay on top of the research. We're all about data driven results and stay on top of the best for our clients.
No, I love how you've, sort of your that experience, has translated into tangible skills and competency in terms of running a business. And quite often you learn so much from those other environments. And as you sort of shared that, it reminded me, I think I was about 25, 26. I had a brand new, beautiful Mercedes as I was a salesman for IBM in the UK. But next to where our offices were was a place called Feltham Young Offenders. And I used to drive past, mid-20s, and I'm driving a Mercedes, and there's this prison for young offenders next door. And I felt there was an injustice. These people have done things, and I became a prison visitor, and I couldn't just keep driving past. One day I went in and said, how do I become a visitor? And I used to go into the jail and just spend time talking to these young guys who, you know, they've done wrong, but, so often the situation that got them there. But I learned so much about life and who I was, and it become, in the same way as you're dealing in a very traumatic environment, with lots of drugs and this and that, but there's so much that can translate, so you can learn stuff everywhere you go. So great. I think that's great. So building on that, in an industry flooded with weekend certifications, you hold a doctorate in nursing practice, but how do you sort of monetize that credibility, and how do patients respond to that?
Say that a lot of people underestimate the aesthetic world. They think it's all glitz and glam. Just do a couple of injections and it's super profitable. Like nothing could be further from the truth. It takes a good level of skill to do this. If you're going to start, I do recommend, having a mentor that's going to help you along the way, because there's just so much to learn. This is not a side hustle. This is not a side gig. And I'm not trying to inflate my ego here, but I've worked really hard to get where I'm at and to provide the results and the level of care that we provide. I just stick true to myself. I know what we have to offer. I have 8 years of injecting experience. And then, like you mentioned, 14 years of medical experience. I have a passion for this. I have a drive. I've tried every service that we offer. So I know I'm the guinea pig. I know what looks good and what doesn't. uh, and then as far as expertise, I think for the average person, it's kind of hard to decipher, like, who am I going to go to? So I do lean on my expertise, but it's more so about the brand. I feel like in my industry, social media is huge. I'm on there every single day. I post before and afters, I post my stories, I post about my life, about my kids, and people just like relate and maybe like gravitate towards me and my brands. And like, yeah, like, hey, she's a mom, I'm a mom too, or hey, she struggles with pigment, I struggle with pigment too. And they just kind of want to like be a part of your brand. Our brand, I would say it's all about lifting your confidence. That's why I wrote my book, Medical Spa Secrets to Lifting Your Confidence. Lifting your confidence, feeling the best version of yourself at any age. So we're not trying to chase youth. We're not trying to look like 20 years old again. Whoever said 20 years old was when you peak in your prime, like that is so false. I feel like I'm in my prime now. I'm in my late 30s, and it's even getting better. But yeah, just building a brand that people really, can relate to and feel comfortable with.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And, building that brand and that messaging, you are the brand is you, it's bigger than you, but it's you. And, but you're very clear in terms of that message.
Even the name of our company, my husband, a shout out to my hubby, John. He's actually my business partner and helps me a lot with the behind the scenes. He has the most creative mind that I've ever encountered. Like, I'm so single-minded. I think like one solution to one problem, he thinks of 10 different solutions to the same problem. But anyway, that was a side note. He actually came up with the name Air, and it's short for millionaire because we want people to feel like $1 million, like kind of like that saying, like playing off of that.
Well, I hadn't realized that. So
I
that's
cringe when people call us airy med spa. It's like, no, it's not airy, it's air, like millionaire.
but again, you talk about your partner, and again, it's recognizing the skills you have, and it could be in this case your husband, but your partner, team, whatever that relationship is. But you all bring something different, and it's sort of leaning into each other to get the maximum benefit, for what you're trying to achieve. So no, it's great. So it's interesting because you opened the med spa in August of 2020, which is probably one of the riskiest moments imaginable to launch a business. Walk us through that decision, and looking back, what did opening in that environment force you to learn about the patient base and building that from zero?
That is a wild story, and I don't think you have the backstory on that. So I'm so glad you asked that question, and so happy to share it. So, I started my career when I graduated with my DNP. I started my career working with a plastic surgeon down by Siesta Key in Sarasota, Florida, and I worked there for about 3 years, 2 years. I'm sorry. I worked there from 2018 to 2020. I was pregnant with my daughter, Penelope. And then towards the tail end of my pregnancy, when I was about to go on maternity leave, COVID hit. COVID actually, we had the mandated shutdowns while I was in the hospital giving birth. uh, time, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, however you look at it, the surgeon that I was working for at the time, she was later on in her career and she decided that now would be a good time to downsize her practice. And because of all those mandates and shutting down for elective surgeries, and like the hospital was getting like flooded with patients with COVID, and people were very ill, and we weren't really sure how this disease was transmitted, who it affected. So she decided to downsize, and I was the first to go as far as her employees go. So she let me go. And she felt so bad. She cried when she let me go. I knew I would be okay because I'm a go-getter, and I knew like that was not the end of my journey. Even though I was beginning my journey as a mother in motherhood, I knew I'd figure out a way and how to get back into the world of aesthetics because I worked way too hard to earn my degrees and get my licenses. I was a student on and off for 10 years, so very motivated. But yeah, I was let go, and I had my daughter. She was born April 1st, April Fool's baby, April 1st of 2020. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I take a little bit of a break, and maybe I stay at home, like try the stay at home mom thing, and yeah, like how hard can it be, right? It was very hard. Not for me. That newborn phase, let me tell you, whew, like that's the reason why we stopped at 2 kids, because I'm like, okay, we are done. Say like in about like May or June, that's when I realized, you know what, John, I think I'm ready to go back to work. Let me like take some interviews at a couple of medical spas, see what's out there, put out some feelers. My husband John, he always knew he's always been the visionary and always saw the big picture. I didn't even think that I would ever pursue a higher level of education. I thought I was going to stay at my RN, but he was the one that pushed me into going to school and go back to school and getting my doctorate. He's like, "You can do it. Like, you should go all the way, get your doctorate. You know, why stop at just RN?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know if I'm smart enough." So same thing. Fast forward. He's like, "No, don't work for anyone else. Why are you building someone else's business? Why are you building their brand? You need to work for yourself." And we have a family full of entrepreneurs. My husband, my father in law, my dad, and they're all successful businessmen. I'm like, no way do I want to deal with like the pressure of having to like work to earn your income and build a business and work 24/7. Like, I don't want to, and I'm a new mom on top of that. I mean, having a newborn, and again, and there was a pandemic. So I'm like, do people even want injectables? Are they going to do these services? Because everyone's wearing masks anyway. So, like, you can't even see their faces. So I took a couple of interviews. Turns out everyone wants me to build their business for them. And I'm like, well, if I want to do the work anyway, I might as well just do it for myself. And I just maybe take the risk. And then like, if it pays off, I get a bigger reward out of it. And then being a mom, I ability to take off when I wanted, or maybe I think I started part time. I started 2 days a week and then kind of grew the business from there. So I called through a friend. I got the name and number of a compliance officer, and she helped me with this startup. And I said, okay, I want to open up a med spa in 3 months. And she's like, I have never in my 20-year career done a med spa opening in 3 months. I'm like, well, you've never dealt with anyone like me. I'm like ready to go. Like, this stay-at-home mom thing is not working out for me. I need to make some money so I can pay for a nanny. So, yeah, 3 months later, August 1st, 2020, we opened the doors of Air Med Spa and I saw my first client. I started in a single room salon suite and just grew the business from there.
It's I'm getting to know you. We've chatted and met a few times, but I'm actually getting to know you at a much deeper level, and what a wonderful story. And
Yeah.
a couple of things really. I know you're very driven. I see the emails you send us, and
Oh my gosh, I know.
but it's great. I love it. It's
They're
so clear.
detailed and they're direct.
Yeah, but you're clear and you're driven, and it's like, let's make it happen now. And then as you talk as well, it's the support structure that you have through John. You've referenced him. He is your rock as you talk. He gives you. You're incredibly independent and strong, and you've got such a great support structure and companion as you talk, which that love comes through in heaps and bounds. It's magical. I love the dynamic that of what's happening and how that's informing some of your decisions and where it's taking you. No, it's beautiful, really good.
Thank you so much. We're just both so passionate. Another fun fact about John and I, we celebrated our 16-year wedding anniversary this last month. And I was 20, almost 21. He was 23 when we got married, or 22, almost 23. And we were just driven, young, passionate from a young age. And we always just knew what we wanted. When we set a goal, we go out and we do it. And I feel like that passion and that drive has translated in our business and in our marriage.
No, I think it comes across in everything you do, and every experience I've had of working, with you and seeing you, it sort of comes across, very strongly. So one of your standout skills as well is sort of collaborative problem solving. So in a med spa that often plays out in a treatment room when a patient wants something you know won't give them the result they're expecting. How do you navigate that conversation in a way that protects your integrity, but yet still wins them as a patient?
Sometimes customers think that they're asking for a service, but they're not asking for the service, they're asking for a solution. So I'm giving other solutions that I think would be better for them. As a provider, because I'm a medical provider first, I weigh the pros and cons. I look at the risk and the benefit. And if the risk outweighs the benefit, then I say, hey, you know what? I think that this will risk making more damage, making you look worse. It would be my recommendation that we try this. I don't take my recommendations lightly. Like I said, I try everything on myself first. I'll try it on a couple of the team members here. They're always, first in line to raise their hands to test out a new beauty treatment. But yeah, if I'm offering a service, it's because I wholeheartedly believe in it. There's the data behind it to prove it. And I have before and afters to show you, hey, listen, not only does this work, it's safe and it lasts. So that's what I do.
So again, it's coming from the sort of the data. It's coming from where they are, where they want to get to, and I love that sort of the solution piece. And I think so often in so one of the problems I see is sometimes we approach it transactionally.
Yeah.
It's back to I want 40 units of Botox or I want these lines gone, but it's what are you
Like,
actually
my next door neighbor had lip filler, so now I need lip filler because she looks amazing, but it's not the same. You're two completely different people.
Yes, yeah, exactly, and but what is it you want to achieve, because quite often they want that because they see something in them, but as you say, might not translate for me as the individual, but what is it I want? And then there's the solution. And I think that brings a lot of integrity and authenticity to your practice, which again, I think differentiates you. So you
Also,
were
I wanna do a side note that I think part of luxury is not only just, like, looking and feeling good, I think part of luxury is our expertise and our level of communication, and to me, customer service is everything. I would rather pay a little bit more for a service and be treated like somebody special than just another number in and out, like, just a revolving door, and they could care less if you ever come back or care less about, your business, So, I'll also want to thank you, Chris, for your services. You've helped us come a long way with, enhancing the communication with Sales MD and just, really showing people that we care, going the extra mile and making sure they're coming in for their monthly visit and, answering the phone and responding in a promptly manner. Here at the office, sometimes we're just crazy and running around, turnover, someone gets pregnant and leaves. It's a lot on the team to be like stuck to the phone while a customer or visitor is here. We want to focus on them, and you've really helped lifted a lot of that responsibility and 10x'd it. Like, it's so much better now, and I just want to thank you again for that.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm when I set off to do this, I could see in practices that I'd sort of consulted with, this is, I think quite often the front desk and front of house sort of get, a bad rap, and actually they've got a myriad of different functions and tasks to do. And, you know, and I think they should be focused in the practice. And, you saw that very early on and saying, I want my people focused on the practice. The phone still needs to be answered. The leads still need to be followed up with. All of that, you've trusted us and Sales MD to do that. And so thank you. And it works. And, which is great. It's great. So thank you. So a lot of highly skilled injectors struggle the moment they become a business owner because the skill sets are completely different. And you are the CEO. You are, a phenomenal, injector as well. how do you switch personally between sort of provider mode and CEO mode? And what does that look like in the business?
So are you asking me like how what advice I would give to people opening up a business or like how do the roles differ?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Probably both. So probably both because you've hit two very good questions back to me. So
I
probably
told you,
sort of
I'm oriented. You could tell by my
yeah, no,
emails.
exactly, no, exactly. So yeah, if someone's yeah, because you're absolutely right. People start off, I'm a great injector, I'm this, I'm that. I've got all these people following, they come to me and then suddenly I'm going to leave and set up my own business. But that's the injecting the medical piece is one piece. Then it's the how do you got to run the business. So yeah, how do you do that? How do you have a CEO hat and the provider hat, and how do you switch between the two?
Yeah, for providers starting out, one of my fears with opening up a business, I said to my husband and my father-in-law, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I've never opened up a business before. This is medical. Like, the compliance is different than any other standard business. And they made it sound so easy, like, "Oh, just buy some Botox and start sticking people with needles." It's not that easy and straightforward. But luckily, there's a team around you of people that can help you. And opening up a med spa today, and I think that's why we're seeing this like surge of med spas opening everywhere, is because it's a lot easier today than it was back like when I first opened. Back when I first opened, I had to like seek out the professionals. I have an accountant, a bookkeeper, my medical compliance officer. I had, the reps that I was buying from. I had to get familiar with QuickBooks and familiar with social media so I could do my marketing, doing paid ad campaigns. So I was kind of like winging it and learning as I went along. I think a good business owner knows how to pivot quickly because kind of like how we mentioned before, no 2 days are ever the same and it's ever changing fields, so just doing it the best you can and then getting better as you go. I listen to Alex Hermosi. Do you follow him?
No,
No.
no.
This is his quote, not mine, but you're gonna start something new, you're gonna suck at it, but then as you go along, suck less. So, but like he's just very straightforward, like kind of like a Gary Vee kind of style, like just like
Love
in
it.
your but like that's my goal with the business. Like I'll implement new things where it's gonna be terrible at first, but we're just gonna get better as we go along. Today, there's like businesses out there that will literally build your business for you. And like they have like buying power too. They have medical directors, they have the CRM, they have the EMR, they have everything. Like just cookie cutter and they just insert you in there. So I'm like, "Dang, I wish I would have had that. Probably would have saved me a lot of stress in the beginning." At the same time, they own you, right? You can never leave them. So at least I have my like independence.
Well,
um
I think there's pros and cons, and I think you address that as well in terms of
yeah.
those systems or environments where they create it in terms of as a business owner, you don't necessarily learn the levers to pull and the impact that that lever is going to have on your business and what's happening. So you're almost a passenger of you're a passenger as opposed to the pilot. um,
Exactly.
and
Yeah, but
so it accelerates getting there, but I don't know, does it give you, as you say, what you're really looking for?
exactly. No, yeah, the reason why we become entrepreneurs is because we wanna have certain freedoms, like, we don't wanna be tied down or tied in, so,
Yeah.
and in a way you kind of are, but I would say if you're, looking to open up your own medical spa, keep your overhead low and work on your before and afters, like, learn the skill, master the skill. You can't do this if you're not good with people. I'm sorry. Like, you have to have a personality. Naturally, I'm an introvert, believe it or not, but I think since meeting John, because he's like an overly extrovert, like, like when, I don't know, like he was like king of the campus, like when back in college when we met, and I just thought he was like the hottest guy, and like every girl knew him. And I was like the shy, girl that just graduated high school. But no, like you have to be outgoing. You have to know how to build and maintain relationships. You have to be a good listener. Listen always first, take in the information, and then use that information to, develop a treatment plan or give recommendations on what's that person's best interest. Like be like a good person, don't push a machine on people because you bought a new machine and now you have an expensive payment to pay every month. Like really just do right by your patient if you do and you provide amazing results, taking those before and after pictures and showcasing them, that builds trust, and building that trust goes a long way. That gives you a client for life, and they're gonna tell like five people about you. So I build and maintain relationships here in the spa, here in person, but also, again, mentioned social media. I do that through my social media. I feel like, fortunately, unfortunately, like you can't open up a business these days without having a social media. Like you just can't. But like the good news is that like it gives you opportunity to reach like all like, millions of people potentially, and it gives you a platform to educate and to talk and build that relationship. Again, I'm posting all the time about me as a person, and I think it makes me less like scary like to come in here and talk to someone who's, has a needle in their hand and, oh, she's gonna make me like, spend $10,000 and, she's gonna make me do this and that. And no, I just want what's best for you. And that's really what I'm trying to portray.
No, I think that's it's lovely actually the way you sort of describe it. I remember when I started my own business, and I remember saying to my mum, "I'm going to be a millionaire," and she just said it was almost like, just do a good job for the first client, and it will happen. And it was and it really grounded me. It was like, actually, it's not about that comes or it doesn't come. It's actually do a great job, be true to yourself, treat people how you want to be treated. The rest sort of happens. That's what it's all about. So, and and you mentioned sort of newer people coming into the industry. So, for someone newer to this industry, trying to grow their book of business, there's no shortage of noise, new devices, new treatments, new marketing tactics. What's the one thing you see practitioners chasing right now that you believe is pulling them away from building a sustainable, profitable business?
It's like those, like, Groupon deals. People like, your face is not a bargain shop, your face is not a Groupon, it's serious, and these are luxury, high-end services. Why are we overly discounting ourselves for dirt cheap just to get clients in the door? First of all, you're gonna attract the wrong client, and second of all, you're not gonna maintain your growth. Like, you're gonna have to see, like, triple the amount of patients to be able to make up for that. I don't know. I think maybe 20 years ago, maybe buying Botox was a lot cheaper, but, the prices have gone up, and if you don't have, like, several hundred people that are actively like your active book of clients, not like people you've seen like one and done, like people that are like coming in every 3 months. If you don't have like a couple of hundred, you don't have a business. Like, there's no way that you can like pay for your bills, pay for your overhead, your medical director, the supplies, insurance, everything. Like, there's so many costs that go into it. So I get a little discouraged sometimes when people like cheapen like the service, but at the same time I know who I am. I know the level of service and the level of care that we provide, and I think our clientele understands that too. We're looking to attract a customer that wants to, be committed and go on this skincare journey for life, and I'm here with you and I'll hold your hand through that process. So again, the bargain stuff, I'm not about it. I think people do that sometimes because 'cause they're not great at marketing, or maybe they're just starting out. Also, unfortunately, I do see people, unethically, injecting or providing services that they're not licensed. They're buying stuff on the black market online, and it's unsafe. So if someone's like, doing this crazy special and like they're in a sketchy, like they're in their garage doing these services, it's sketchy. And I don't know about you, but me, like I would not put my face and my body through that. Like there's just too much at risk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no, I think that there's some really, really good advice. And again, as you talk, you're really clear on your brand and who you are and what you stand for, and that is such a strong foundation. We were talking to a potential client, and this was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember sitting down with this gentleman, and I said, you know, who's your ideal client? And his response was anyone that will pay. um,
They're
and
not wrong, but at the same time, you do wanna specify a little better.
yes, exactly, and it's like, but I just, I just thought, No," I actually, very nice guy, and I sort of reached out to him probably about 6 months ago just to sort of check in with him how he was, and he said, "Oh, I'm going back to, the hospital, I'm closing down," and I kind of, I knew when he gave me that answer, it's like anyone who would pay, he didn't have the clarity of the message, the clarity of who he was, the brand, and and you do, and I think that's testament to, again, you, John, what you've got, what you've set up, and the clarity in terms of what you're looking to achieve, which then translate to your patients and the results they get. So fantastic.
I'm gonna say a little bit of an embarrassing story. So a couple of years ago, I used to have a business mentor. After a few years of having my med spa, I wanted to expand my team. And oh, you had asked about like wearing the CEO hat versus the provider hat. So I needed help with building a team and having a training and having structure and protocols to our office. Something I knew I needed to have because I came from somewhere very corporate from the hospital where we had all of that structured, but I just didn't know how to translate that or how to translate that in my small business. But anyway, yeah, I was with that business coach for several years, and she's responsible for, or she, not responsible. She's just helped guide us through a lot of our growths that we've had in the business. But at one of her conferences, um, like there's, I don't know, like 100 of us sitting in the audience, and she's like on the mic talking, and she goes, "Okay, everybody, tell me, why do we do what we do for a living? Or why do we do, why what is our purpose? Why are we here?" And I yell, "To make money." And then everyone laughs, and she goes, "No, to help people." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but like, can't we like help people and make money at the same time?"
I know.
Shallow, but for real, if I'm not making money, I'm not able to help people. I have to keep my doors open. I have to pay the bills. I have to pay that payroll so that I have team members that can help you. And I'm responsible for my team members and like, their families. So it's a big weight. And I'm sorry, making money is my first priority.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I remember I had a mentor a few years ago, and we were going through a branding exercise, and she sort of said, "What's the goal?" And my business partner and I sort of said, "Make lots of money." And it's like, no, no, but what's your why? And it was like, to make lots of money. And it's like, yeah, but what's your core purpose? And and so we actually struggled with that because it's like we don't have a why. What's our why? But you're absolutely right. It's You can't take. I'm really focused on building a really strong team, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that, as you mentioned, we're taking your calls, we're responding to texts, and that team's got to be happy and confident and in a good place, all the time to represent you in the way that you want to be represented. And but it all, and to do that you need money to fund them in the right way and give them give them what they need. And so yeah, we struggled with that for a while because it was like, but what's the why? It's like, well, make money. So no, I think it's good.
Sales MD though. So I did have my business consultant for several years, and she helped me grow as a provider in my consultation process. She helped with, forming our VIP, our membership, and, just everything, like enhancing our website, like you name it. One thing that I really value that she trained us on was team training. However, there was a big downfall with that I did not anticipate, because I thought that like people would be like so obsessed with me and love working here. I've worked in toxic working environments before, the hospital, very chaotic and crazy, and you deal with every like crazy person and disease that there is. And I just thought, like, oh my gosh, like working here is like a dream come true. Like, no one will ever leave us. Like, I will, like, they're gonna stay here and like be here for life. And I'm sorry, that's not the truth. That's not gonna happen. You just want to enjoy your team members while you have them and give them the right tools to help them grow and help them excel in their responsibilities and their duties. However, I we spent a lot of time and effort training these girls on the front desk duties and answering the phone, answering the text messages, and doing the outreaches. And unfortunately, there was just too much turnover. So again, having professionals like you that have already gone through the training and that know how to capture the new leads and know how to follow up and when to follow up, it's been huge. And I'm so glad I've invested in this company. I say investing in you guys and investing in my business coach has been the two smartest decisions that I've made since opening my doors.
Wow. Wow. No, I love it. And you're absolutely right. This is the message we're trying to get out is, you can train them and then they leave or, or they're ill or life takes over and then, and honestly, they're never going to do it as well as we do because, that's all we do. And I always think, quite often MAs are on the front desk, and given the choice of following a lead or coming to, sit with you and observe you, if I was in that position, I'd want to be with the provider. I want to be doing what the practice is all about, which is the medicine, and, not following up to leads. Critical, but, it's not what they want to do. So we come to that time when it's sort of the last question. We always end the show with the same question. So if you could send yourself one message to before you started your business journey, what would it say?
Would just give myself the confidence to do it. I would say you can do it. Don't stress. Don't stress the small stuff. You're strong enough, you're smart enough, you're savvy enough. Don't care about what other people are going to think. I think another fear of mine when I opened up Air Med Spa, because I was so heavily on social media, I was like, oh my gosh, what if I put myself out there and then everyone just sees me fail? Well, you know what? Those are the people that are successful in life. They're the ones that take the risk and they're the ones that go all the way, like, just all or nothing and put it all out there. And if you fail, at least you tried.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and what's interesting is the people that are successful and equally successful want you to be successful. The ones that aren't successful are typically the ones that want to make you fail, or hope you fail because,
Exactly. Who
you
are you
know,
trying to impress? The losers that don't care about you, just go for it.
yeah.
The people that want the best for you, they're gonna cheer for you and want you to win.
Yeah, I started my career as a ski instructor, and so what you said resonates. And I was obviously, to being a ski instructor, I was a good skier in the French Alps, but there was a French ski instructor in the resort of Val d'Isere, and he had trained with the French national Olympic team. And whenever he saw me, he always sort of said, "Try doing this, try." And he coached me all the time. And it was, he saw me as a peer, but he was there, and I was, I'm a junior ski instructor, and he's a senior. But there was never sort of, it was always mentoring and coaching, and wanting the best for me. Not, and I find people that are successful want other people to be successful. And you're absolutely right. You've got to kind of do it. And the
So John's favorite movie is Eddie the Eagle. Have you ever seen that movie?
yes, yes.
It just like when you brought up the skiing, it made me think of that. Like he was British, right?
Yeah, he was a national treasure.
Yes. So, I mean, and what a great example to what we're talking about. He had no idea what he was doing, but he had a goal and he went for it all the way. Like, what a
Yeah.
great story. Like, if you guys haven't seen it, you should watch Eddie the Eagle.
And you got to put this into context. We don't have mountains in England; we have hills, and we get a little bit of snow, but we don't have ski resorts like the Alps or Colorado. So for this guy to take up ski jumping was just, this English guy to take up ski jumping was just never seen of. So yeah, it's a great film. It's a great film. So, if our audience want to follow you on social media, or people want to get hold of you, how should they reach out?
Social media channels, but most active on Instagram. So follow me at Dr. Walters DNP. Also, if you want to come in, book an appointment, do a Visia skin analysis, we'll create a customized plan for you. Go to our website, airmedspa.com.
Excellent, good. Well, I've we've spoken many times, but I feel I've got to know you on a very different level. So, thank you for appearing on our show. Thank you for being so open and authentic and real today. Absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.